Okay guys, it's Adrian. I got another Otome video for you today, and we're talking about Amnesia Later X Crowd. I have finally finished all the routes. It took me a really freaking long time. I apologize, but I finished them. So you know what? Time to do a video. So, Amnesia Later X Crowd is actually two fan discs in one. It's Amnesia Later and Amnesia Crowd. Hence the Later X Crowd, right? Yeah, makes sense. So originally these games were released in Japan individually, but they're both pretty short on their own. So eventually they paired them together over in Japan, and then when they translated and released it here, they gave us the combined copy, which I do very much appreciate. Because to be fair, if I had to pay full price for like each of these separately, then that would have been, slightly disappointing. Now, also to be fair, I did not pay for my copy of this game because I got it for free through Keymailer from Idea Factory. Thank you to both of those organizations. But I would assume, again, if you'd have to pay $50 for each fan disc, and then considering how short they are, then the community would have complained, and I assume that's probably what happened in Japan. I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming people probably complained, and that's why eventually they got combined. So, now that being said, going into the game, I did really enjoy my time playing the fan disc. This is technically my second fan disc to actually play. Like, Cupid Parasite, Sweet and Spicy Darling was my first one, and this is my second one. And I really enjoyed this one. Okay? Like, I replayed Amnesia quite recently, because I also got a copy on the Switch through Keymailer from Idea Factory. Thank you. And, I didn't remember quite loving the first game as much as when I played it like a long time ago through Steam. And I don't know if that's probably just because it was like a second playthrough, or also just because I'm older than I was when that game came out. But I really enjoyed the fan disc. Like, I almost think I like the fan disc more than I like the original game, which is kind of weird because like most of this is like a kinetic novel. Okay, most of the fan disc is a kinetic novel. There's some parts where you have choices, but it's not a ton. And I think part of it is the main character is a little bit fleshed out more. In the first game, she kind of has amnesia, and her personality doesn't really come through. But in this game, you really get to see her personality. So I think that's probably why I liked it more. That's my guess at the moment, because like the guys are so hot, right? The same guys, they act more or less the same as the first game. So let's talk about how this is set up. You see this weird menu, right? So you press up to go to Amnesia Later, and you press down to go to Amnesia Crowd. So when you want to hop between the two, you have to exit. So let's go talk about Amnesia Later. Amnesia Later. So the Amnesia Later has a little side story, and then it has an after story, and then it has a girls' party and Waka's world. Okay. So let me show you new game, and when you go to new game, it'll give you the options, and you also have a little path for Orion. Okay, so New World is a new story, and it's a short story, but you have some choices here, and basically each path there's like a path for each guy. So this is a new world. It's a brand new world. It's not connected to any of the worlds from the previous game. So that's why it's called New World. And oddly enough, you have to play this first and then do the guy's individual path to unlock their after story. So the after story does pick up right where the good endings ended in the first game. And then once you do some stuff, so in the New World, you also have a path for Waka and the girls. And so Waka's world, there's like 4 stories, because if you remember from Amnesia Memories, Waka acted significantly different in each world. Like, he had a different personality. So if you do Waka's world, there's like 4 paths, and you get to see all the different Wakas and kind of romance them. Now, you do get a CG out of doing this, but it's only 1. And I really wanted Waka to have his own path. That's my only gripe with this game. Is I really wanted Waka to have his own full path, okay? I think Waka's great. And I do appreciate the 4 little, like, to show the different personalities. I do appreciate that. But I wanted a full route. Okay? This is gonna be me be like, ah. And then you have the girls' party where you're hanging out with the 3 girls. Minnie. God, I'm blanking on her name. Sawa and Rika. And then eventually you unlock a path with Orion. And the Orion path is picking up basically from the good end of Ukyo's route from the first game. So, you know, good end, but Orion and the other god guy have been turned into humans. So that's how Orion's path gets to be. And it's a little continuation. So Orion's path is also pretty short and you get a cute little CG out of it. So you do have the gallery and you see those little like symbols on the stuff. So when you do the symbol, if you go over this and you do a still touch, you get some voices. Now the downside to this is one of the CGs requires that you play all the other game routes and then you go through the voices and you have to go through and basically tap the voices, and like each CG has like 9 lines. You don't have to listen to them all the way, but you have to wait for a little symbol to go off. And you have to do that for all of the CGs across the game, and then you unlock a completion CG. I found this very tedious, unfortunately. I did not find it super enjoyable, but you know, it is what it is. And then you also have these profiles that you unlock during the girls' party by asking the girls about the guys. Okay, so if you're looking at this and you're guessing Amnesia Later is why the game is on the shorter side, Amnesia Later does feel significantly shorter than Amnesia Crowd. Okay, so now we're gonna hop over to Amnesia Crowd, and Amnesia Crowd does feel like it has more content, but still, again, it's not really enough to be a full Fandisc on its own. Okay. But it definitely has more content than the
Amnesia Crowd.
So in this one, it's the menu. It's a little bit different. So you have the suspense storyline. So each guy has a suspense storyline and it's set during the original game. And this is like the only thing in all the games that actually has choices that matters. So each guy has like a bad end or a couple bad ends and then a good end for the suspense. You go to working, you have these little mini games that you can choose to do by working with your friends. Well, not all your friends, but the guys, working with the guys. So each guy has their own mini game. And then as you get these things called Orion points, you can unlock these little short stories. And you do have to do all of them as part of getting the CG complete. Okay, now let me back out of this and go back to the title. So in each of the little stories has a CG. Each guy has like 2 stories where you get a CG with like little chibis and you get a CG with like, you know, non-chibi man. So let's see, etc. This has Trump where you can play card games with the guys. I did not like these. And then you have Orion. So I played a couple of Trump games to get the points to unlock the mini events. But realistically, if you're playing through the guys' routes, you could probably skip the mini games on the Trump, or at least the Trump mini games. You're going to need to play the working mini games, unfortunately. They're not terrible. So Orion has his own little thing where he talks to you. And you can talk with him. You can obtain mini events. See, like, look at all the points I had. I got 99. There is a quiz that you can do, which asks you questions from the previous game and this game. You can Google, and you can find someone made a wonderful Google sheet with the answers to all the questions. But you take the quiz, and then you give Orion a name. So, and this unlocks a story with Orion that actually continues from the story in Amnesia Later. Okay, so we can go back to the title screen again. I know there's a lot of game modes in this one, so it's kind of like it's like a lot of hopping around. Okay, so if you go to love, you have communication where you go on a date with each of the guys, and then the after story, which the after story is a continuation of the story from Amnesia Later. And let's see, communication, you basically go on a date with each guy and you get some questions to answer. Note for Ukyo, you basically just need to spam this until you get his. Ukyo has 2 date scenarios. There's him and his alter ego, and each one gives you a CG. It's more or less the same CG, just like slightly different to communicate the alter egos, but you do need to do both in order to complete the game and get your complete CG unlock thing. So now let's go look at the album. So set up a little bit differently, but again, you see those little butterflies? Yeah, those butterflies are the voice lines again. So you do need to do that for sorry, I'm trying to focus. I'm picking a picture. You do need to listen to all the voices again to unlock the final completion CG. I'm just gonna put this on the background for now. I guess I could go back to the main menu. So this is like one of the completion CGs, and when I was first going through, I had to Google how to get it because I did not realize what the butterflies and the little rose symbol in the other game signified. So I was like, why am I not unlocking this last CG? What is the damage here? So you have these extra routes. All the stories are continuations from the first game for the most part. You have the same number of guys with full routes. So Shin, Toma, Ikki, Hint, and Ukyo. 5 guys, okay? 5 guys to play through their stories. And they're all, I don't want to go into too much into spoilers. I enjoyed everyone's except for Kent's. I really didn't care for Kent's, unfortunately. But everyone else's I actually really loved. So my favorites did kind of stay the same from when I played through Amnesia Memories. Like Toma's the favorite, then Ukyo, then Ikki, and then Shin, and then Kent for me. And then Waka I can't fairly put Waka in the lineup because realistically he wasn't in the first game as a route, and his routes are so short here that it's not fair. It's not fair to compare Waka at all. So the stories are, because they combine the 2 games, the stories are, a decent amount of content to go through. Overall, like, some of the after stories kind of surprised me. To be fair, it's kind of hard to imagine where a fan disc is going to go with the story. Like, Cupid Parasite had some moments that I'm like, oh, this is a little out there. So it's really hard to figure out like where the fan disc is going to go on these games. But I did thoroughly enjoy the stories for the most part. They're also a little bit more on, well, not Kent, but everyone else is a little bit more on the spicy side than I feel like the original game was. I liked. And also the stories in the game all span, like, they have some time skips in them. So you get to see characters as like they're older and stuff, So I did like to see that side of all the guys. I liked seeing Orion's little routes, but again, they're kind of on the short side, so don't have like big expectations there. Okay. And my biggest grievance is that Waka does not have his own fully fleshed out route. That is just something that why they should have gave him a full route. Of course they give him full route. It makes me so sad. But yeah, would I recommend this game? So I'll be honest, if you haven't played the first one, you need to go play the first one and then come play this. So it's kind of like, okay, should you play it? Yes. If you liked Amnesia Memories, I do think you should play the fan disc. I think you'll enjoy it. Is it a solid visual novel just on its own that you should go play without playing the first one? I mean, yes. some things are kind of explained, but you're gonna miss some things, and there's not like a ton of choices. Like 90% of this game is basically a kinetic novel. Like the only route with choices is the suspense route for the most part, and that has good and bad endings. But everyone else pretty much just has, it's a kinetic novel, to be honest. So, can't really recommend it by itself, but if you played the first game, you should definitely play this one. And I'm going to question how you got to this video if you have not played the first one, to be honest. It's like, why are you looking for this? So yeah, second Fandisc. I think I did enjoy this Fandisc more than I enjoyed Cupid Parasite, Sweet and Spicy Darling. It's kind of odd because I do absolutely love Cupid Parasite. Like, comparing first games, I love Cupid Parasite 100% more than Amnesia Memories. But Fandisc wise, I'm not going to say I like Amnesia Later X Crowd like 100 times more than Cupid Parasite Sweet and Spicy Darling, because I very much like the vibes and the layout and the color scheme of Cupid Parasite and the character design. But story wise, I think I kind of like the stories in Amnesia Later. Cupid Parasite got maybe like a little bit too comedic for me on some of the stories. That was kind of like, ooh, I mean, I guess, some of these stories were kind of wild in the first one, but I don't know. So, Amnesia Later X Crowd is a little bit more traditional romance. Okay, not very comedic, really. Other than like, kind of, I guess, Orion's route a little bit and Waka's route. There are some moments that's kind of funny, but it's like haha, hee hee, not full-blown comedy. So, I'm rambling. I'm super duper rambling. That's pretty much it for this video. I like the game. It's fun. More Otomes. I'm gonna finish Charade Maniacs. That's a goal. 9 rip is, I gotta do 9 rip too. So, anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.